Hello everyone. I think we're live. We're here just a couple minutes early. So we want you to go ahead and give us thumbs up that you can hear us, that the visual is good. Anna is over here and she's reading your questions. So make for sure that if you have questions during our member make that you ask her, do capital Q or capital all caps question and then write your question. That way she can see them easier because there's a lot of comments coming through and we want to make sure that we catch them all. So if you want to do that, I'll mention that again when more people come along. But right now, go ahead and tell us where you're from, where you're watching from. Are you excited about today? I don't know if some of you have not seen what we're making. This is on, you can pop over to our site today and we have the whole pattern and everything on this flower. It's so gorgeous. I'm just extremely happy with this flower. And here's the fun thing is that Megan and I actually made this together last week. So we were in a time crunch. I had to fly out of town and I said, Megan, come on, let's do it together. And so I worked on the inside and she created the petals. So we thought we would teach the class together today. That would be fun. And she's awesome. She makes a lot of our crepe paper flowers, and she's also the one who is responsible for probably more than half of our crepe paper plants. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy making all the plants.
Yeah, so the plants, I love her for that because I do not have a green thumb, so my house is full of crepe paper plants that Megan made.
Much easier to take care of.
They are, no watering. Anyway, tell us where you're from. Anna, you can shout out if you have any fun places. Portland, Oregon's fun though, so if you're from Portland, tell us that too. Anywhere. And we'll give it, let's see what time is it right now. We have another minute or two that we'll wait until everybody joins us, and then we'll get going. Anna?
Yes, we have people from New Zealand, Sacramento, the UK,
All right.
Sonoma County.
Yes.
I
know who that is. Yes.
Indiana, Northern California. So.
Yeah. Another thing too we'll talk about before we get started is, you know, we try to make flowers or do the projects that you guys want. So we always take a vote. So we want you to put in your vote, put in your ideas of the project that you would like us to make for March. So it might be a paper flower, maybe it's a felt project. I don't know.
Or a plant.
Or a plant, something. So go ahead and, you know, shout out what you want. Type it either, you know, here or even on our Facebook page. And also, if you are not here, I think I have some notes here that Anna gave me to remind everybody. Okay, first of all, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So the giveaway will be for sharing the photo of the project that you made, the peony that you made. So you will want to use #membermake. And you'll put that either on our public Facebook page or the private Facebook page, or you can also put it on your Instagram. And we'll draw you, if every time you put your photo up there and tag it, you'll have an enter in to win. And we are giving away 2 of these. So 2 people win 1 of these each. And this is actually the packet that we're using today. We're using these colors. So if you love this flower, you're going to want this because you'll probably want to make more. So make sure and enter to win using #membermake and tagging your photo of your peony. Okay? How are we doing on time? Should we get going?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. How many people are watching now?
We have 70 people watching.
That's
2
awesome.
from
Okay.
South Africa, 1 from
Oh, wow.
Johannesburg, and 1 from Cape Town.
Wow.
Nice.
I love this.
That's
I love
awesome.
this International Crafting Day. That's what we should call it, right?
There you go.
Yes. Was there anything else I needed to say before we get going?
No?
Okay, so you guys, you can get your pattern, go over to our site, and here, I have the camera there so I can see exactly what I'm showing you guys. But go over to our site and download this pattern. It has all of the directions of, you know, you want to really make sure and watch those, and we'll talk about these as we go. And this would be the grain line, so make sure when you cut them out, you watch the grain line. So go and you can download that pattern. It's today's post, and all right, let's get going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
So for the inside of this flower, this is a new one for us. We've made, I don't know, so many peonies. I'm going to put it right up to the camera. I'm going to pull this back so you can see it. We've made so many peonies, but we have not made this. And this is called a coral charm, or we called it, what's the other name we were calling it? We were calling
Coral
it Coral
Supreme.
Supreme. So they're both sort of the
Yeah.
same. We're calling it Supreme on our site just because we have a red charm, so we didn't want to make it too confusing.
Yeah.
So we were trying to figure out the easiest and most efficient way to make the inside, those little seed pods. So the way we figured it out, and it was really fun sitting there with Megan. We were kind of like passing back. Well, what would you do? What would you do? Well, what do you think? And so we came up with what we thought was the best solution. All right, so I first of all made these little, oh yes, and also I wanted to mention, we had a guest when we were sitting there making these as well. Inga Peterson, who actually lives here in Portland, came over to our studio and sat and worked with us.
Yeah, she hung out with us.
Yeah, she hung out with us and helped us make some of these flowers and had some really great solutions too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll point out the tips that she gave us as well. It's always so fun to learn from other people. Anyhow, so this is actually honeysuckle. Is that what we determined?
No.
No.
Hibiscus.
Pink
hibiscus.
hibiscus. We were kind of going back and forth which color, but you could use, any pink. We picked the brighter pink just to add that pop. And this is the heavy crepe paper. So one of the things that I do love about the heavy crepe paper, and I'm not going to cut them out because I already did, but I'm just going to cut a piece to show you, is our heavy crepe paper. It has 250% stretch. So, I mean, you go from one tiny piece to a really big piece. And for this particular piece, I really wanted it stretched out because I want it as light and delicate as possible. And then I cut out 6 of these little tiny centers. And I'm not going to come out today, but you guys can do it. Very small. And this is just a guide. And then all we did was cut those out. They're pre-stretched, so they're very light. And then I have a wire, and this is the 24 gauge wire, so it's the lighter weight wire. And I'm gonna say I cut it out about 4 inches long. I just measured it. Wire cutters, there we go. Then I will bend the tip down just a little tiny bit and make that nice and tight. You don't want it too loose because we're sticking it through a bead. I like my hot glue. Some of you guys like to use your white glue, either way, but hot glue goes fast. And then I'm just gonna pinch it right onto the tip. And when I pinch it, it gives it a bit of a shape. You can also kind of ruffle it with your fingers. Yes, there we go. And okay, so I have 6 of those done, and you can do more in the center if you want to. I felt 6 was efficient. It looks pretty.
Yeah.
It's not too many. This takes a little bit of time to do, but it's worth it. Then here's the fun thing. This is an 8mm wooden bead that you can get. We found them on Etsy, and I think we have a link for you guys so you can buy a little packet of those. Then I'm using, this is from the Ferns and Moss pack. So this is the Ferns and Moss pack comes like this, and I'm using the lighter color, which I think it's moss. It might be fern. We don't really. Okay, it's fern. All right, and then I'm taking one of those little beads and just a piece of this. Did you have something you want to say? Oh, okay. And I'm gonna try and get this close so you guys can see it. So yeah, sorry for we're zooming in and out, but that way you guys can see. So I have let's get the focus. I'll wait for a second until she focuses. This is so good I can see.
I just want to say Inga is watching and cheering you guys on.
Oh, yay! Yeah, she was sitting here working with us, helping me do these. Okay, so the bead hole is upward. Whoops, sorry, I gotta keep my hand in the camera here. All right, so it's upward, and then I'm wrapping the tape around, and it's hard to do this far away. I should have gotten my nails done. If I had known we were doing close-ups on the fingers. So
I totally thought about that.
Yeah, all right, so see how the hole is still in there, and I'm just wrapping it around. And I'm gonna save the rest of this, but all I wanna do is push this with my nail towards the center and make it as tight as possible. Really kind of press it down. All right, then we'll take one of these little pink babies, and I'm gonna slide that into the hole, and I'm pushing it through the tape. Pushing it through the tape. Is that, you got that?
A little focus.
A little focus? All right, pushing it through the tape, and then when I pop that through, it pulls the tape back down into my bead. And yeah, there we go. There. So it looks like this. I bent my wire a bit, but it doesn't matter. Then the rest of the tape, you can just wrap that right down the stem like that. Here, Megan, I'm going to have you help me with the rest of them. So nice thing is I went ahead and pre-taped a bunch of them. So we'll just go ahead and finish this. You know, you could do this different ways. I felt like the bead, if you're making a lot of these crepe paper peonies, you don't want to get hung up on spending hours and hours making these centers. They're seen, but they're not the biggest part of the flower. They're not the biggest visual. You just want it to be there and have the basic idea. So I just thought this was a brilliant idea. So if you guys have some other really great ideas, go ahead and share them. All right, sometimes they pop through because it's not quite thick enough, and that's okay. I'm just gonna hold it there and then tape the rest of the stem into place. You don't want your beads popping though, so make sure. You can also add just a bit of glue to the top of the hole when you slide it through, and that will help keep the crepe paper in place as well, if you feel like that's a better way to secure it. But you can see once I have my tape on here, I don't think it's gonna be moving. So there's, all right.
There you go.
So there's all 5. Then, simple enough, I'm just gonna bundle them up, or all 6 I meant. So 6 is a good number because you can have one that's somewhat in the center, and then the other 5 sort of wrap around. It's hard to get them straight here.
Mm-hmm.
You want them all fairly even. And then we'll just take a piece of tape and bundle those together. You can see how that looks. There you go. And there. That one looks a little shorter. If you wanted to, you could trim it down a bit, or you can kind of ruffle them up with your fingers. But I do think it's, I like this best stretched. I don't like it unstretched because it gets too thick. Okay, so that's the first part. Then the second part, this is your second piece that you'll want to have ready to cut out, and it's, I'm backwards here, so all right, it's that one right there. And that is just the width. So I've cut my piece of crepe paper, and this one is the, drum roll please.
Nectarine.
Nectarine. Okay, this is the nectarine that we use. It looks really, really neon on the camera, but it's not. It's a nice kind of a golden yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just cut it to that size right there. But before I do anything else, I've just cut it straight with scissors. I'll go ahead and stretch it. And that's going to make that at least double the width. And then I also like to, is that one stretched? Yeah, Megan had one pre-done for me. Here's my pinking shears. And I'll go ahead and edge that with the pinking shears. And then we were all sitting around talking about what would be the best way to add the pollen to these flowers, and we thought, should we put them into embossing powder, or should we dip them in paint? And ended up deciding markers because it's really simple and less messy, and there is just a lot of these semen for the center that you would have to get paint on. All right, so then marker, here we are. Everything's across the table.
Sorry.
That's all right. And I'm going to actually use the blunt end. It just goes on a little bit faster. And I just kind of run it down. And I like it a bit scratchy and not super even. It looks a little bit more like pollen. And the nice thing about these markers, this one is actually the Copic 2 marker, is they are an alcohol base, so they'll seep right through your crepe paper, and you don't have to paint both sides. I'll show you here in a second. Okay, and the color that I'm using, it's actually very soft. It's almost a peach color. It's called Flesh. That's a horrible word, Flesh.
Just say the number.
Flesh-eating monsters. Yes, it's R02, and I liked it. I tried some darker yellows and some oranges, and they just were too saturated, and I wanted it to be
neon.
Yeah, too neon. So I wanted it to be really soft. So, and as you can see, it actually. You can see, can you see? I don't know, there we go. There we go. So it actually seeped through both sides, which makes it really nice. All right, then the next part, my little jar's way over there. Yeah, I'll try not to stab you. This is, you know, just the tediousness of this, but you just sit here and snip these as thin as you possibly can. And while I'm doing this, Megan's going to show you the next trick that Inga actually taught us.
Showed us how. You can also, when you're
yes.
fringing, you can fold your crepe
This
into
was also
like
Inga.
fourths,
She's like, what are you doing? You need to do this.
and then fringe it.
Yeah, and also I had some here and I forgot to grab them. But you can use paper. You can use clips, and I actually have
Binder
some
clips
sewing
or-
clips. I have some sewing clips that they use instead of pins, and they're really nice and flat, and they bunch this quite nicely. Sorry, I forgot to bring them. But you'll want to, I would say, clip them on this side, just right here, and then you can just snip them down. So while I'm doing this, you're going
Yeah.
to show them the next trick.
Yeah,
That's
so to give
amazing.
your, what are these, stamen more of a
Mhm.
natural look, if you fold it all in half and just kind of like roll it up and roll it between your hands, kind of fluff them up a little bit.
And we have different methods of doing this. When we have less stamen, we'll go in and actually
Like
hand
twist
twist each
each
one.
individual
But this
one.
is so nice for such a big bundle.
Yeah, you just kind of like don't be too crazy with them because you don't want to rip it.
Yeah,
but
you don't wanna rip
you can really just get in there.
Any comments or questions, Anna?
Yeah, and then
Yes, we have a question. What size is the finished flower?
Oh, well, good thing I have my handy ruler here. All right, so some of the flowers are bunched a bit tighter and some of them are looser. So let me show you. Sometimes I have to bend these back to get them in the jar. So the really tight ones are about 5.5 inches wide. And if you loosen them up a bit, you'll probably get more like a 6 inch. So, is that helpful?
And then we had a question what size the beads are. So those are
Oh,
8
yes.
millimeter.
The beads are 8mm. And we like the wood. It holds the tape really nicely. I don't know if you could find any, I mean, you could use plastic. I think it might slip, the tape might slip a little bit more, but you could try it. Okay, this is why I need my
And
little
then we
clips.
also had a really good question. Can you use crepe paper instead of a floral tape if you don't have the right color?
Yes, yeah, you could probably do that. I would say,
yeah, you could use like the stretched crepe paper and wrap it around and just use like tacky glue to secure it.
yeah, I wouldn't stretch it too much
Um,
though. I would, and I might even suggest using an extra fine rather than the,
Yeah.
because it has less ridge on it.
True.
I wouldn't stretch it out, and I probably wouldn't use, I mean, you could try and use the double-sided. I just don't know if it would be too bulky.
Yeah.
So-
I feel like the extra fine or
absolutely.
like stretched heavy.
Yeah, and also, I don't know, we've used crepe as stem tape a lot.
Mhm,
Anyway.
we have.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to use that one and finish this in a minute.
There you go.
Easy enough. All you do
You want
is,
to curl it first.
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I'm taking my little curling tool. See, this is why we need two of us today. I was just at Disney World last week, earlier this week, so my brain's still a little bit in Florida. So I'm just just very gently curling the tips. Not very hard. I don't want to rip them. Just very gently. You just want to get some shape so it's not quite so straight and has a bit more of a natural form. All right, and then once that's done, I want them to curl inward, so I'll start my glue here. And as I'm holding it in my hand, they are curling upward, so I'll just place that in. And I want them to poke up beyond the little pink tips, so I'll just arrange it that way. I think this is right now my favorite crepe paper flower we've ever made, Megan.
It's really pretty.
It's really pretty.
I love how fluffy they are.
And what a great flower for weddings this
Yeah.
summer. You can mix these with real flowers and real greens as well, and it just will make such a stunning statement. And you can keep them forever. So I'm just rolling it. I'm rolling it somewhat loosely. I'm not compacting it yet. I will in a second. Okay, the last bit here. And then you can just hold it gently with your hands and give it a bit more of a compact base right there. We're going to be gluing our petals right off the bottom. And then just fluff it up. And while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and put my stem on. So we're using these big thick stems, and we do have a link for you guys. We bought these on Amazon. They don't always have them. Sometimes they're out. But they have a bit of a cotton padding and then a paper wrap. And we like these because they give us a nice big thick stem quickly. And I'll use this tape. Okay. So, you know, we've had the question on several occasions, why do you choose extra fine crepe over heavy crepe, over double-sided? And, you know, there's different reasons. It depends on the flower. And I would say we choose the heavy crepe for the peony just because it needs that weight and that body. And it also has such a beautiful stretch to get those really fully cupped petals. So, you know, I think for this flower, the heavy crepe paper is definitely the best. Or, you know, if you have the Italian crepe paper, I think it's the 180 grams. Is that right? Or 160 or 180 would work. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't really go by grams here. So anyhow, okay,
Yep.
There you go.
Nice.
So
next we're gonna do the petals. I'm gonna show them the template.
I have
That's
glue
why.
and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. That's why we have more than one. Okay, the petals. We have different sizes, and they're all really quite simple and small. They're not so broad because we're going to end up stretching a lot to get the breadth of these petals.
Mhm.
So we've cut them out, and it looks like it's 5 petals, 10 petals, 7 petals, 5 petals. So there's quite a few.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to cut some, and I'll show them how to do the pan pastel while you're...
Sure.
Okay. So while she's showing you what she did, I'm going to cut a few because I'm going to show you how to pen pastel. Yay. Go on.
So yeah, you're gonna cut out all your petals, which we've already done. And Leah's cutting out one for you so that we can show you how we applied the pan pastel to get like a nice gradient. And this will kind of give the flower a glow.
I'm going to use
It'll
the
be
bigger
really
scissors.
nice. Yay. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah, should I show them how to curl the petals while
Yeah.
you're doing that?
Yeah, do that.
So after you're gonna do this after you've applied your pan pastel, but you're gonna take your curling tool and you're gonna lightly curl just like the ends, the base of the petal inward, and then you're gonna curl the top of the petal inward just a little bit as well. Just to start giving it some shape. So it's just gonna be
Our little mess here. I love it.
and then we're gonna cup each petal after you've curled all of them. And you're just gonna use your 2 thumbs. You might wanna like, I don't know, get close. Just to gently stretch them. And you're not really gonna stretch the tips of these too much because you wanna let it ruffle. I guess I didn't show them how to like cut out little
Oh yeah, you can do that
divots
too.
in them or whatever. And so some of the petals you're just gonna leave as is and you're gonna cup them. But some of them we actually cut out little divots. Where are the small scissors? Just to give them a little more shape, and all I did was cut slits and then just kind of rounded like the corners.
And it's very free form. This
Yeah,
part.
it's just like random. Every petal can be a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't want any super sharp corners, which is why I'm rounding out all of them. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to
Yeah.
show them. Yeah, that looks.
So they're just kind of.
Oh, that looks
And you
great.
can do that randomly to like
Doesn't
a
have
few
to be on all
petals
the
here
petals.
and there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think there's a way you're going to crush them later.
Yes.
Okay, so here's a flower without any pan pastel. This one, and
Mhm.
here's the flower with the pan pastel. Now this is the same color of crepe paper, so you can kind of get an idea. This one doesn't have the back on it, but you can get kind of an idea. Yeah. of why we do it. So it's just to add, you know, this is a really pale pink, and I wanted these to look more of a, I don't know, blush color, a little more
like
coral. So the color that we chose is the pearlescent red, and this one is actually in the Leah Griffith kit, but you can buy them singly as well. They have them online. You can get them at Blick, or you can get, I don't know if you can order them directly from Pen Pastel, but I know Blick.com carries these. Yeah. So this is the pearlescent red is the color. And it has the mica or the titanium in it so that it does glitter just a bit.
Yeah.
And initially what we were doing, we had a really heavy brush that we would dab in there, but we realized it was eating up our Pen Pastels, so we're not doing that.
Yeah, no.
So Megan
Use
figured
art
out,
sponge.
yeah, the sponges. These are the Pen Pastel sponges, and you can just get in there and just really press that. Since there's much more crepe in the crepe.
Yeah, ridges.
Yeah, ridges in
More
the crepe.
ridges.
It's harder to get it down inside, but you can kind of press it in there really nicely. And you just do that to all of your petals, and I did it to both sides when I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just
We
flip
did
it
both
over.
sides.
Huh? All right.
So that glows from within, and
Yeah, it just adds that extra touch that's so
Yeah.
nice. Okay,
it's really fun. Do you want
that's
to
how you
cut
Pen Pastel.
some
Yes, I will
like
cut for
ridges
you.
and like some of these petals while we're going?
Okay.
And I'll stretch some of them.
And I have to be honest, I haven't done this part yet, so I'm
Yeah,
learning.
she did the
I'm
center
learning
and
with
I
you.
did the petals. So
Yeah.
we're just gonna cut some ridges in a couple of these petals before we build the full flower.
So I
So
have
I'm
a
just
few
kinda-
questions for
Yes.
everybody.
We are.
Somebody was wondering if the nectarine comes in the same pack,
Yes.
and yes it does.
So yes, let me show you. So we use, oops, it's opposite because I'm looking at the TV here. All right, there we use this one. We use that one right here, and then one of these two. So they're all in the same pack. We did have to use a different pack. We used actually this pack for the green, and the green that we used, I don't know all my colors
Was
by heart yet,
juniper.
was juniper, which is this really dark one right here. Is that correct?
What?
It's that one?
No, so we use juniper for the sepals and then
Oh, sorry.
evergreen for the leaves.
Okay, I was thinking
Yeah.
the leaves. So we use
Sorry.
juniper, yeah, and evergreen. So we kind of mixed them up. You know, the reference that we were looking at for these peonies had really dark leaves, so that's why that one came in.
But you
so
could also
pretty.
use the double-sided
Yeah, you could do that too.
as well.
Yep.
'Cause they're similar colors.
So the stems are currently sold out on Amazon, and they go in and out of stock very often, but somebody's wondering if they could tape two 18-gauge wires together and stuff.
Yeah, you can. And one of the things that we do a lot of is just take one 18-gauge wire and then take some of your scrap, I would say
Crepe
heavy.
or-
Yeah, I'm trying to find a piece here. Just take some of your scrap crepe, a longer piece than this, but you'll get my idea, and cut it into strips, and then just wrap it around to thicken it, and then cover it with a green or with a crepe or with a floral tape, either a green crepe. That's another way to thicken your stems.
And then we have a question on the petals you're working on now. Is
Yeah.
it only the larger ones that you alter?
No, you can do a little bit of everything. I'm actually altering the smaller ones right
Yeah.
now.
So mine are just totally random, you know, just
Yep.
oh, and there's a little piece.
And if you
That's
make
probably
white
good.
peony, what color fringe would you use? Do you use the nectarine for that as well?
You could probably use the nectarine or even maybe like the vanilla
Yeah, the
or
lighter
the
color.
chiffon that's more of like a yellowy.
Yeah, I think you know you
I think
could
it's chiffon.
you could use one of these if you're doing a paler color. Here, let me turn it this way so you can
There
see
we
it
go.
better. This one, it's not as bright in
Yeah.
person. It looks really tangy on the video, but you could use these as well. And then just add the colored marker that really enhances it. Okay,
Yeah.
these are ready for you.
Cool. Now we can go ahead and curl all of them.
Okay, I'm gonna help you curl.
Yeah.
And would you be able to use the double-sided crepe paper for the petals?
I would not use the double-sided crepe paper because there's just not enough stretch.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get the nice shape that makes them so fluffy out of the double-sided.
We have made double-sided before, and
Yeah.
there's a double-sided Peony on our site. If you guys want a link for it, we can put it there for you. And it's beautiful. Megan made them.
Yeah.
They just look a little different. They're
Yeah.
not as fluffy, and it's not the same curl tone peony. So I'm trying to make sure I keep all of the sizes, in the right.
together, yeah.
So this
So
is
we're
really
going in the
fun.
right
And if you
order.
guys don't have this tool, which of course I highly recommend everybody get one, because we made it just for you. If you don't have this tool, then go ahead and use the edge of your scissors. And I tend to use not the sharp edge, more of the blunt edge. It's not quite as easy because you have to kind of finagle the handle, but you can also do that as well. Use what you have, but if you can get one of these, it's great.
And then somebody's wondering if there's a reason the cutting curves on the petals are not on the pattern.
Well, yeah, we could probably put in some suggested ideas,
Yeah.
but the idea was that you would want to make it as
Just organic.
organic as possible, so that they're not all the same. So that's why we could add in some suggestions, I guess. All right, so I guess I'm stretching these, right?
Yeah, go ahead
Okay.
and stretch them.
So I'm just stretching right in the center. I'm not touching any of this at the top or any of it at the bottom.
Yeah, you can show them how I like pinched the top.
I don't know how you did it.
Oh,
You're
you know
gonna
how I
have
did
to
it?
show me.
Okay.
I was very focused on those centers that I didn't watch your technique. It is really fun to have a team of people because
Yeah,
you know
to kind of feed off of and bounce ideas off of.
yeah, and even
each
you know
other.
having Inga at our studio too and hearing some of her ideas, because I feel like the more people who play with it and who research it, our ideas become more mature,
Yeah.
and then we can skip steps that are just take too long
Mhm.
and find a better method. Look how pretty these are. I just want a bowl full of these petals. They're just so pretty. All right, can I curl these
Yeah.
or
Cup 'em.
stretch them?
Stretch them.
So I'm actually stretching it pretty much all the way
Yeah,
right in the
like-
center, and then just, I guess, blending it out, I would say, because you don't want to have any harsh lines. And I think also the less stretch you give your petals, the more they'll fall out and be a more fully bloomed. You know, this one is a bit more bloomed, where this one is more of a bud, where it's really crunched in. So, and I love having the mixture in the bouquet. You don't want all of them to look the same.
Yeah,
You really
a
want to
little
have
variety.
the variety. Yeah, even yesterday when I was photographing these, I took a couple of them and really opened them up. And you can do that too. I mean, even if you end up with your flower looking this tight, you can go in and really open it up later on. Any more questions? Do we have such a quiet crowd today?
I know.
I think they're all paying attention. We do have a question if you're using a hot or a low temperature glue gun.
We're using the low temp
temperature.
today.
Yeah. So again, finding that low temperature is the best for me when I'm not using frosted paper. Frosted paper, I've come to peace with. I have to use a high temperature hot glue gun because it won't stick sometimes. Sometimes the finish on it is just too shiny that it just pops off. But with these guys, low temperature is plenty.
Yeah.
And you could use white glue if you wanted to. It just would take forever to dry.
All right, so I'm going to show you guys how to get your petals really fluffy and a little bit more
Okay.
natural looking. So after you've cupped your petals, I actually just took the tips and just scrunched them together and kind of twisted them and was a little rough with them, and I just left it like that.
Yep. So I'm doing the
See?
same with these big ones too, just scrunching them together.
Yeah, and you're going to do
And
that
then
with
just-
every single petal.
Yep. And again, this is why having a certain pattern, we don't want every single petal to look the same.
Yeah, no.
That would
Otherwise
not
it's
look natural.
Too uniform, and nature isn't perfect.
Nope. So I'm scrunching and kind of twisting a little.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just scrunching and twisting and just making them a little more wild.
Right. How fun is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend you get all your friends together and do this as a little
Yeah.
party. A peony party. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about that. All right, so from my research, I think here on the West Coast we say peony, but on the
Peony.
East Coast it's peony.
peony? I say peony.
You say peony?
Yeah.
Yeah. I say peony.
Peony?
I don't know if there's a right or wrong,
I don't either.
but I don't want to sound like a hick.
Yeah.
So if
Peony.
so I don't know.
Peony.
Tell us what you guys think. How do you say it? Do you say peony or peony? How do they say it in Africa? I want to know. I know the UK is completely different. So
How would you make a bud?
yeah, we haven't done that one yet.
We didn't do a bud for these. Well, we did a bud for the other heavies that are in the book.
Yes, we do. If you want to go look at that, we didn't make it for these, but I like adding that in.
Yeah.
I would probably, I mean, the way you did it, you put a foam ball right in the center and then
Yeah, I
just
think-
wrapped the petals around it.
Yeah, we used the foam ball as a base to keep it round.
You'd want a fairly large foam ball because
Yeah.
these are pretty big, so, you know. Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
we're ready to start
We're ready
going, right?
to start gluing our petals on, I think. Just about.
How would you finish the back if you wanted to use it as a cake topper for a wedding?
Yeah.
I think you
Well,
would just, I mean, you would just cut the stem shorter, wouldn't you?
I would
Just
say cut the
stick
stem
it into
shorter, but as
the-
far as
stick it in the
yeah.
cake.
Well, what I would do is I would just clip it right off
Make
on the
cakes.
back, and then maybe just take a disc of paper and glue it on, so that it
Oh,
doesn't.
so it doesn't like
Especially if you have pen
get
pastel.
moist.
Yeah. Or and you could also put a disc
get
of
all-
well, wax paper or baking paper on the back,
Oh,
so that that'd work.
to protect the flower.
The
I
the
guess from
paper
the
itself
frosting.
is non-toxic though,
Yeah.
so it's not going to hurt your cake at all. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we're ready to glue on. I'm just gonna start with your smallest petals first, and just put a dab of glue.
I need one to work on, huh?
All right, and you're just gonna. Sorry, I'm gonna show the back. How can I show it? There you go. And you're just gonna glue it right to the underside of your like fringed stamen so that it kind of sticks out a little bit more, just like that. And you're just gonna glue them evenly around the flower. So there's only 5 small, and so these probably won't overlap too much as you're gluing them around.
So in terms of pronunciation, I think we're split 50-50.
Are
Really?
we? Well, potato, potato, tomato, tomato, right? Either in any way it's said, it's a gorgeous flower.
Yeah.
It sure is. Is there something you could use in place of the stamens?
So, so are you talking about the fringe or the inside? What is
I
she?
don't know.
Okay,
Probably
well,
the fringe, I would think. In place. I don't know what you would do instead.
I honestly can't think of anything else that you would want to use for the crepe paper fringe. However, on the pink and the green inside, you can get pre-made sometimes. Now, I don't know if they'll be this pretty, but you
Yeah.
can get some
You could
pre-made.
probably get some pre-made ones off
So,
like Etsy or
yeah, Etsy, they're usually made in in China or someplace else.
All right, and then you're gonna take your next size petal up. We just work from small to big.
And that one has 7.
Yep, so this has 7, and you're just gonna kind of place these in between each petal, overlapping a little bit more on one side than the other maybe, because you don't want them perfectly stacked, you want them a little random.
And one of the things, when we were starting to make this flower, I really, and you did too, we both looked at pictures of peonies because they're not really in bloom right now, so we
They
can't look
aren't.
at the real thing. We were looking at all sorts of pictures of peonies to see how the petals laid,
Yeah.
and there's such a variety. They're not even.
Yeah, some of them were like perfectly stacked though, which
Yes.
is kind of interesting.
Some were
And then-
perfectly rotated, and then
Yeah.
others were very
Just-
off-rotated.
Yeah.
So I think that is shown here in some of, that one's a little more perfect, where this one here is a bit more off.
Yeah, so just whatever you like. I mean, you can perfectly rotate all of your petals, or not.
Yeah.
And I mean, with this, I'm not even, at this point, there's 7. It's an uneven number. You did 5 on the last one, so when you get to the last few, you just kind of place them,
Where they need.
wherever you feel like you need them.
Yeah. And I think, you know, for me, this flower, the thing that makes it so lush is that really deep cup of the petals, especially on the outside petals, so that they almost wrap around.
Yeah, and you're just kind of, you're not even going to touch the petals as you're building it. You're just going to leave them in place until you've glued all of the petals on.
Yep.
And then we're going to go on to our next size. And I think these have 10.
That one has 10, yes.
Yep, 10. Cool. And again, we're just going to kind of, with this, I'll like place the first layer like probably perfectly spread out around, and then after that, I'm just going to start.
Kind of random.
Yeah, doing it random.
This is ready for another peony.
Yeah. And with these, you can, when you're done, you can choose to either pull the petals open, so it's like falling out like some of our other flowers were, or you can keep it
Really
a little
tight.
more tight and closed. And so it's pretty easy to get a variety of flowers.
Yeah. I think we'll show some maybe demonstrations later this spring on how to use these in a wedding bouquet.
Yeah.
That would be really fun. Mixing them with some live greens.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite. The paper flowers with real greenery.
It's so
Yeah.
pretty. You really
And
can't
it's
tell.
much easier than making a ton of faux greenery.
Yeah, the faux greenery is a little trickier.
It takes a long time.
Do you know how much crepe you've used to make one of the flowers?
That is a good question. How about if I measure that? Well,
Yeah, there you go.
It'll give me something to do. Thank you. Okay, I will measure it out.
I feel like you could get a decent amount.
We did not cut any of these on our Cricut, you guys.
We did not.
We cut all of them by hand.
All by hand.
And somebody's wondering if you can please show the stem side once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
See?
Here, we'll show the back side really quick as I'm going.
Yeah, that's a
so
good point.
right now, this is what it's looking like.
And look how the stem is getting all glistening.
Yeah,
from
it's
the
all
pastel.
glittery. So yeah, we just started stacking them right underneath the base of the stamen, and we continue just stacking them right on top of each other. I'm not gluing it to the stem at all. I'm just gluing each petal to itself. Yeah. And we're gonna move on to the largest petals. All right.
So I would say, I'm going to go high. I'm going to say about 20 inches of crepe. So 18 to 20 inches. And the other thing too, on this, the lighter colors of crepe paper, since we do not use chemicals, or Germany doesn't use chemicals that are toxic on their crepe, the lighter crepes do fade a bit more. So if you think this is a bit too pink and you want a bit more pastel, just leave it out in the sun and it will fade. So, and if you want to keep the color, keep it in the shade.
And then somebody was wondering if you can talk a little about your design process and how long it took to come up with the design.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's a really good question. I think since we've been making crepe paper flowers now for 6 years, yeah, and it's not just me now. There's probably been, there's three of us now, but we've had other people working with us as well. We just have this whole collective process of designing paper flowers, and sometimes we'll take from another flower and use it. You know, well, no, you know what? That was a really great way to do the leaf. Let's use it for this flower. So, pulling from some of those old ideas into the new one. We sat here, Megan and I sat and worked on this flower for probably a good 5 hours, but we made the whole.
Yeah, we designed the entire flower
as we went.
And,
yeah. And maybe the first few is like, oh, okay, that's our tryout, throw that aside. But I would say between the two of us, we spent, for the design process, I would say 3 or 4 hours doing it. And that's where it's so great for you guys, because we're giving you something that's already thought through, and then you can take it and add your own ideas and add your own design style to it and not have to start from scratch. I think that all of us can gain from each other, right?
Yeah. All right, so this is after I've added all of the
Oh,
large
so pretty. So pretty.
petals onto.
Yes.
It's really round.
And you want it really
This is
round,
like the
yeah.
back side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so before I pull all of the petals out, I'm actually going to glue the sepals onto the back. I think there's a couple of
And you
these.
have 3 sepals.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. And you're going to take these and you're going to use your curling tool and just curl them a little bit before you stretch them again. And then you're going to cup these the same way as you cupped your petals. Just right in the center. And then you will glue these onto the base of your flower opposite of how you glued on the petals. So you're going to put a dab of glue just like on the pointy end. I'm running out of hot glue. Whoop.
Oh, here. Some right here.
And then we are going to glue this. Let's see. It's really hard to get. Just onto the base of your. Oh, this way.
I know, right?
I'm like backwards.
Because we're looking
Yeah,
in the
so
camera.
you're gonna
there.
glue it to the base here. This is really. I'm gonna have to look at it.
Yeah, and you can show this one. So you'll want to glue them so that they curl out from
Yeah,
the
there we
flower
go.
versus into the flower.
That's
They
what
look
I'm
like
trying
they're
to say.
falling away. You can see that. And then we didn't do this, but you can see all the pan pastel is on the stem. You can finish that by covering it with the floral tape.
Yeah,
I just hadn't done it yet.
but I'm not. You probably still have pan pastel on your fingers. Yet.
I do.
So
I know you
now
might
your
wanna go
floral
wash
tape
your
is
hands.
just gonna be. Yeah, you're probably gonna want to wash your hands before you cover it in floral tape again.
And that covers all your.
Yeah.
Are there other colors in the same pack that you could use to make it
Yes.
an entire bouquet?
Yes, so we use
Yeah.
the pale pink because we were seeing a lot of the pale pink out there right now. But I would probably go for all of them. I mean, I may not go with the dark purples at this
Yeah.
point, but you could do from here over, and then use you could actually do like a pale,
You would
a
totally
pale
do
yellow.
like a pale yellow one.
I might not use this orange one. That could be just for the centers, but all of these would be so pretty. And together, how gorgeous would that
Yeah,
be?
they come in
Yeah.
I mean, peonies come in a variety of colors.
They do. Of pinks
Which is
usually.
awesome.
Yeah, they come in a variety of pinks. They don't come in purples or reds so much.
Yeah, not
But-
this
Yeah, not this style.
one in particular.
All right, so leaves.
You want to talk about leaves? Let's talk about how we fluff out the
Oh,
flower
yes,
first.
fluff. Let's fluff.
Yeah, so so right now the flowers really, you could totally just leave it like this.
And this is a good way to ship them
Um,
too, leaving them closed if you
yeah.
need to ship them to.
Yeah,
your-
so if you're gonna
yeah.
ship these or whatever anywhere, I would totally just leave them closed and then tell whoever's getting them to fluff them up. Yeah, and so to fluff them, you're just gonna start pulling petals out. Maybe some down like really far, so it's like a really open one. And just kind of get in there.
Just make it bloom.
Yeah. And make your flower bloom. And some of those that you like crush together, you can kind of straighten out a little bit. This is really. Whoop.
And you can kind of
Getting,
pull and
like-
tug things around a bit
Yeah,
too.
you can move everything
Mhm.
once that hot glue is really set.
Mhm.
There isn't much you can do to ruin it.
So it looks
So,
like you're
yeah.
kind of pinching the tips a little bit.
Yeah,
as
I'm
you
like
go.
pinching, I'm like uncrunching some of the petals so that
Mhm.
they aren't all crunched.
Yeah.
Just getting it in shape.
And I liked it when I photographed them yesterday to keep some of them closed
Yeah,
when it's
to give
when
a
it's in
variety
bouquet.
and like a
Mhm.
bouquet.
So you guys can do that as well. So I can't wait to see the colors that you all come up
Yeah.
with because hopefully we won't get it all pink, pale pink. But we want to see what
Yeah,
other
we want to
colors
see.
come out.
So
Yeah.
that's how it looks when it's open.
So pretty.
Yeah, nice and fluffy. Ooh. A little wild.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's talk about leaves.
Let's talk about leaves.
And we're gonna send them off to make some crepe paper peonies. Yay.
Yeah, I'm gonna set that in there.
Okay.
Right there?
So the leaves, we're not gonna do a demo. We're just gonna talk them through
Yeah.
because they're really quite simple.
We did cut these on the Cricut.
We did,
Yeah.
yes. So you don't have to, but the leaves are this pattern right here, and there's two sides to it. You got to make sure that you do the grain line as shown, because it will look like this
Yeah.
when you're done. So you want to have that V cut in the middle. So this one is cut on the Cricut, and then there's the 18 gauge, or I'm sorry, the 24, 26 gauge wire goes between. You glue it between. You get all of these done and lined up, and these were all finished and sitting there with the wires lined up on the table. Then Megan.
Oh yeah, and then my favorite is using Mod Podge.
Yep.
Covering your leaves with Mod Podge to give them that gloss
Mm-hmm.
that you see more like in nature with your leaves.
Yes, and you did that after you cut them.
Yes, I did it after I cut them and had them already glued on the wire. And you just use a paintbrush, and don't use too much Mod Podge, otherwise your leaves are going to try and curl up on you and stick together, and it gets really messy. So less is definitely more.
And you can do more than one coat as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Mod Podge also gives it a nice structure, because without the Mod Podge with these leaves, they'll kind of droop.
They do.
They get a little droopy because
They're
they're bigger.
And you can use double-sided with this if you want to, and not use Mod Podge. But we thought it's funny because this pattern was an old pattern we'd use for
paper.
frosted paper.
Yeah, and it was all one piece.
But it's such a pretty cut, so we
Yeah.
decided to experiment with the heavy crepe paper on
Yeah.
these, and I think it turned out really nicely. So your leaves are up to you. I mean, do your version, but this is another version that we've offered you guys.
You can do them in crepe. You can do them. The patterns on the website if you just want to cut them out of paper.
Yeah,
also.
you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
So can't wait to see. All right, so any other questions, and we'll remind him of the hashtags, and I'll.
Yeah, so we've had several people wondering if we sell the crepe paper sleeves as individual colors, and we are working on it.
We're working on it.
So our other suggestion was that if you didn't want to have to buy the entire full pack that includes this green, you could just get the double-sided, because
Right.
it just comes with the two colors.
For the green.
Yes,
Right.
for the green if
Yeah.
you just need more greens.
Yeah, and if you want just the single rolls for these, unfortunately we can't right now. We're working on it, but I'm telling you, you will use all this crepe paper. There are so many flowers in this bundle that you could use.
Yeah, that's
So,
for sure some of our
yeah.
favorite colors. I also wanted to say somebody gave us a tip that pack is on sale at Duran at the moment.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I believe that's Duran online only, but I did post a link.
That's great. Yeah, go
Nice.
buy it. Yeah, get them on sale and stock up. So remember, we have a giveaway for you guys. So go ahead and make your crepe paper peonies and post them on either Instagram or Facebook, and use hashtag #membermake, and 2 people will win this pack. And we'll ship it out to you guys. So we are so excited to be seeing your crepe paper flowers, your peonies this month. And if you're not on our private Facebook page, go and apply. How do you do that, Anna? You're in charge of that one, so let them know. We love this community. It is such a fun community. If
Yeah.
you're not part of it yet, you want to be part of it.
Yes, we love seeing all of your pretty pictures, so please keep sharing them. I'll post a link on here. There are
Okay.
a couple of questions that you need to answer for us to
Right.
approve you, because it's for members only.
Right. So the Member Make page on Facebook is a member only page, but it's a great place because we have a lot of activity there.
Yeah, we really love seeing the interaction and the tips and tricks that
Yeah.
you all share.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyhow, anything else we need to remind them of?
We have a couple of questions. How do you keep the crepe paper flowers clean?
Yes. Well, the best advice that I heard, we have crepe paper flowers that we've had around for a long time, and they're not too bad. I mean, I don't think they're
No.
really that dirty. There's a few things, like you can put them in boxes. We find that it works best to keep your flowers upright, to
Yeah.
lay them down. They're gonna
they get a little crushed if you lay them down. So keeping them in
Yeah.
a vase is probably the best.
is the best.
for
And if-
keeping them.
Yeah, and if you want to cover them with something, you can do that as well, but you kind of don't want anything to touch it. However, if you do feel like your flowers are dusty, the best advice that I got, I haven't tried it yet, is you just take your blow dryer with a low speed and just kind of blow them off,
There you
and it
go.
might help them bloom too. But again, we haven't really had a lot of dirt issues, maybe because we're in Portland and it's rainy here. So it's not as dusty. So, yeah.
And then we had somebody wondering if you can use makeup sponges for the pan pastel.
You know, you probably could.
You probably could. Those are similar to like what you would buy.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably
in,
could.
like, the makeup section.
I would test
These are
it.
just called like art sponges.
Right, and these are actually
And-
made by the company that makes pan
Yeah.
pastel, so they're specifically for it. I think that the most important thing is you don't want your sponge to have too much. You don't want it to be too porous because you don't want your powder getting caught in your sponge.
Yeah.
So make sure this one feels a little bit rubbery and kind of.
It's more dense. You want a
Gummy, yeah.
denser sponge.
Yeah.
is what you want.
And also, if you buy our 7-pack pan pastel set, the Leah Griffith designer set, it comes with 4 of these, I
Yeah,
believe.
It comes
so,
with a pack
yeah.
of them.
And I think
in different
you can
shapes
wash
and-
them too.
Yeah. You
Mhm.
can just wash them with soap and water.
Mhm. Yeah.
Let them dry out.
Yes. So, all right, you guys. Thank
Yeah.
you. Oh, yes. We're gonna show this off again.
There you go.
Yes. Thank you for coming, and we'll see all your gorgeous paper flowers. And make sure you let us know what you want to see us making next month, which would be March. What will be our March project?
Let us know what you want, and we'll try and
We'll make up something.
we'll make
new.
it happen.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining.